Welcome to the Queen's Lair, a lifestyle podcast. Get inspired by our latest tips and information about small business, entrepreneurship, natural hair, travel, food, and even relationships. Stay tuned for another great episode. I am your host, Renee Patrice. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to my podcast once again. Today, I'm going to talk about this subject matter because I think that it's worth covering. There's so much that goes on for individuals as a business owner. And sometimes people don't always understand, more old school. Sometimes our parents don't understand, our grandparents, especially if they're not from that type of entrepreneurship kind of background. And some folks just want to get the job and work in that job and stay in that job for 30 years, 40 years until they retire. And that's fine. To each his own. But there is a thought process of being successful, and sometimes people become successful very quickly, and we see that on social media quite a bit, where people will start a YouTube channel and it will just start growing exponentially, and it's just like, wow, this success came so fast. And I noticed that folks who are not in the entrepreneurship sort of mentality or circles, business owners, they tend to feel like you have to struggle to get your success. And one thing that I really don't believe in is you have to struggle before you're successful. Poverty is not a prerequisite for success. It's not. I think there are amazing stories that come out of, people that didn't have much, and they built themselves up and bought a home and, was able to provide generational wealth, for their families and all of that. And that is super respectful. I have so much respect for that. But when you see people being successful and you see them working and you see them, taking those steps to do what they have to do, and that success comes, please do not have the mentality that poverty is a prerequisite for you to be successful. You can come from a middle-class family, never struggled a day in your life, and become super successful. And that is not going to be something that works against you. It is interesting to me when people are like, well, they got it handed to them. Well, they had the money. Well, their father was a lawyer. Well, their mother was a doctor. As long, here's what I feel, and I got to speak to this from the kid perspective of being someone's child. I'm also second generation immigrant family, so both of my parents are immigrants, and then of course later on became citizens, U.S. citizens and all of that. And us kids, we were born here in the States. And there's sometimes the mentality that you have to toil and suffer, or else if something comes too easily, oh, you're lazy, and I've really had that conversation with some family members, maybe more the old school family members and things like that. Like, listen, us kids, cousins, or whatever like that, we work very hard. None of us were handed anything. I have a cousin who has her doctorate, cousins who have done, decades in the military and all that. They worked very hard to get to where they are. And if they want to enjoy themselves by buying themselves a nice car, buying themselves a nice house, if they want to eat out every night, listen, I'm not telling you how to spend your money. I'm not in your pockets. What I'm saying for you to do is to get out of mine. Okay? Don't worry about how I spend my money. Don't worry about how I do things or how are they able to do that. Don't worry about that. If you're saving up your money because you want to add something onto your home, if you're saving up your money because you want to get that, the luxury car, just make it make sense. You know what I mean? I would not want to not own my own home and then own a luxury car. Those type of things is are what I would question. But for some people, they don't want to own a home. They want to rent. If that's what works for them, don't judge people on how they do their thing. You know what I mean? If they're cool and they're moving along in life fine, let them be. This is not, we have to toil. You didn't struggle. You didn't toil as much as I did. You didn't walk to school with no shoes. You have no idea. First of all, why would you want that for your children? Why would you want that for the next generation? So you're telling me that I should experience that? The whole point for me, in my opinion, is that as a parent, or what you want for the next generation, because not all of us are parents, but I'm going to speak specifically in the parenting tone. As a parent, you should want better for your child. If I could keep my child from going through all the things that I went through in high school and college, and all the headache and the loans and the this, that, and the other, then that is what I'm going to do. That doesn't mean I'm going to spoil them so that they don't understand, the seriousness and the usefulness of hard work and making a dollar. No. I want them to learn that. Get yourself a summer job or, those sort of things. Nothing is going to get handed to you. But if you feel like the toiling, you don't even know what it's like. Listen, I'm so tired of hearing it. I'm so tired of seeing people go back and forth with this. Oh, back in my day, we did this, that. Okay, that was back in your day. This is 2024. It's a new day now. It's a new day. I don't care that you walk to school with no shoes. I don't care if you had to milk all the cows before you left. I don't care. That don't have nothing to do with me. That was not my life. You did all of that. Thank you so much for crawling so that I could walk. Appreciate it. And I know this is coming off with, kind of an attitude or whatever, but I just see this conversation so much. And the thing is, too, if you don't understand how the world works today, or you don't understand how people work from home and they're able to make a living, or all these sort of things, you don't understand streaming, or you don't understand how people make their money doing YouTube and, all that sort of stuff. Google is free. Google it and read up on it instead of attacking people. I just saw it today. These folks, wonderful YouTube family, getting attacked because they were like, people in the comments like, well, what do you do for a living? They do YouTube. Well, that's not a real job. Are you kidding me? These people are doing brand deals every single time they post. That means brands feel comfortable enough with them and their family, and they have a few children. They feel comfortable enough to put their family brands in their hands and pay them for it. Just because you haven't figured out how to do it, or you may be jealous, which I think a lot of it is, that you are jealous that this is how they get to make a living and they get to travel the world and they get trips and all this sort of stuff like that. Just because you haven't figured it out doesn't give you the right to talk down on people and call them lazy and this, that, and the other. These kids are world travelers. They're going to learn so much that what they would learn in a classroom would not even compare to what they are going to learn from traveling the world. Let people do what they do. Stop worrying about who's doing what, who's not doing it. I don't understand. How does this work? If you have real questions because you want to try to do this for yourself, then ask real questions. Stop putting people down because you don't understand. It may not be for you to understand. And quite frankly, if you're already talking negatively about somebody because you don't understand how they do what they do, it may not be for you. You know what I'm saying? I don't down people with 9 to 5. 9 to 5s pay bills. I was there. For a long time, both the side hustle and the main job overlapped for many years until I was able to make the side hustle my main hustle. Don't put people down. You don't know how hard they've worked. You don't know how the long hours and how many no's that they got before they got to where they are. Encourage people in whatever circle that they're in. As long as you are legal, you are not hurting anyone, and you're making an honest living. That's all that matters. I'm so tired of seeing you don't know what it's like. No, I don't know what it's like, and I don't want to know what it's like to toil if I don't have to. Even my younger cousins coming up or whatever, we have conversations every now and then, and I tell them, hey, this is what we used to do, blah, 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 but hey, you have access to this, and this. Oh, wow, I didn't even know about that. Yeah, check it out. Here you go. I'm always about trying to give people, the behind the scenes of how I do things. I, will show you exactly how I create documents and do all these sort of things. If I hand this to you in your face and you don't use it and you don't take it and say, you know what, this girl done gave me all this information, that's going to be on you. But there's nothing that anybody has ever asked me, well, how do you do this? Or what do you use for this, that I have not answered them and let them know what it is. I'm not going to do the work for you, but I will absolutely let you know what tools you can use to achieve what it is that you want to do. And if I can tell you about something new that's going to make something easier for you to do, I will absolutely do that. And I'm not going to look at you like you're lazy. I'm not going to do any of that because I just don't believe in that. I'm so tired of explaining, well, what do you do? I already told you what I do. I'm an executive brand manager. I help people organize their businesses and put their brands out into the market. Help them come up with different products and services and things that they can grow their bottom line. AKA, they can make more money. Period. Why is that so hard to understand? If I was working for Acme, ABC, XYZ, doing the same thing, nobody would question it. No, they would just assume, oh, she works for Acme, ABC, XYZ, and it would be fine. But because I'm an entrepreneur and I work for myself, all the questions. If you want, I have a boot camp online. You can book it online. And that boot camp will give you every single thing that you need to know about starting a business, getting your business off the ground, and how to keep that business flowing out in the market. I've done very well for myself in these, businesses and the things that I try to think of, whatever, my t-shirts, all this sort of stuff. People are like, well, you have services and then you have t-shirts. Absolutely. The average millionaire has 7 streams of income. Okay? 7 streams of income. Why do you think all these sharks on Shark Tank, they invest in many different businesses? So they have a check coming in from all these different places, and they hustle hard. And they have a lot of losses as well. They don't win every single time. Respect people's process and the way that they want to achieve success. Like I said, if they're treating people kindly, they are legit in what it is that they're doing, and they're helpful, I am not going to question anything, because you're legit, you're kind, you're helpful, and you just want to be a success. I'm always going to support success, always. And when you fail, I'm not going to come over and see, well, that's the reason why you failed. No, failing is nothing but a lesson. People need to stop looking at, well, it failed again. Okay, what was the lesson in that? When it failed, at what point did it crack and fail? Find the lesson in that. And I guarantee you, if you find the lesson in there and you correct going forward, you're not going to fail in that same spot again. Failing just means there was something that needed to be corrected along the way. Once you do that, you should be fine. Don't listen to these naysayers out here. If you got to turn your comments off on social media sometimes because these jagabites always got something to say, they're looking at you. People that come into folks' comments on YouTube that talk crap, it's wild to me, because you just gave them a stream. You just gave them a view. Views is what pays you on YouTube. A hate view and a love view, I've said this before, hate view and a love view pays the same. So if you're going to come into my chat or whatever it is and you're going to talk crap, go right on ahead, because you just gave me another stream. You want to come and disagree with me on my podcast or whatever because you said this on this podcast and that podcast, whatever. Perfect. You just played my podcast again and gave me another stream. I thank you for that. It's very frustrating to have to constantly explain your success, and people measure your success or your levels to getting to success as if you did not work as hard as somebody else and you don't deserve the success that you have. I don't talk about every failure and everything that I have gone through, and although on this podcast I share a lot of failures, but y'all don't even know, that's not even a quarter of what I could talk about. It's not even a quarter. Half is being generous. A quarter, oh my gosh. Some things I can't even talk about because it's legal beagle. Some things I don't even want to talk about because I don't even want to drudge that up in my spirit anymore. And I had to move on from certain working situations, and people, success doesn't have to come through poverty. Success doesn't have to come on the heavy backs of you crawling through the desert. Success can come to you. Your parents could be entrepreneurs and very successful, and they handed you the baton and you took it and further grew what they had. That's success. I don't look down on anybody. Well, they didn't work hard. They had the money anyway. Listen, if you had the money, God bless. That means you got to your success quicker, because that's really what it takes. It takes a lot of capital to start a business, and when you don't have the capital, it kind of takes a longer time because you can't do things in major bulk like how you would like to. But I will never put down people for quick success. If anything, I want to learn. How did you do it? Tell us what it is. I really had to come on and talk about this, because when I tell you, it has been irritating my entire spirit. The way that people treat others because they don't feel like they're deserving of the success that they have. And I think that's very sad. As long as that person is on the up and up, they're legit and they're treating people kindly and they're helpful. I also am not a gatekeeper. Like I said, people ask me anything. What do you use for this? What do you use for that? I tell you. I've done podcasts where I've listed different apps and things that I use and what I use them for. I'm never going to gatekeep with that. I'm not worried about, anybody taking this or taking that. There's room for all of us. All of us. So just remember that success does not have to come on the heels of toil and poverty. Don't be afraid of success. Don't be afraid to talk about it. You don't have to flaunt it, but be proud of what you have accomplished. Okay? Anyway, so I'm off my soapbox. That was 20 minutes, all right? You want to hook up with me? You can. At Onyx Queen Media on Instagram is where I am most of the time. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.